to Double Your Sales Now. Today, Tena Pettis is back. We think for the third time, could be more than that. I'm just so excited to have her here. And she and I are going to be discussing how to sell anything, the actionable strategies used by top businesses right now. Because let me tell you, Tena has been there, done that successfully in so many areas of business. So Tena Pettis, I'm so excited to have you back.
I am so excited to be back. When you messaged me, I was like, I get to come back on the show again. So yay.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I'm going to have you back forever because without you, the show wouldn't even exist. Because there was a moment when Tena's like, why don't you have a podcast? And I was like, oh, I don't want to do one more thing. And this podcast has been such a huge blessing. So thank you for giving me the little kick that I needed to make this happen.
I like taking credit for things. So
I know you do. And you love to be back. So we'll keep doing this. So yeah. we're gonna go back to Tena in a moment. For our listeners all over the world, we love you. We love hearing from you. Always email us at contact@salescoachnow if there's anything we can do for you or if there's a certain topic that you want us to talk about. And if you haven't left us a review yet, it's a great time to do it. Go to iTunes, leave us a review, and then go to salescoachnow.com/giveaway because we have some cool gifts related to my book, One Great Goal, to say thank you for leaving us a review. And a review, it helps other people know if the show is a fit for them, if they should tune in or subscribe. So we appreciate that. And if you haven't gotten our free gift yet, go to salescoachnow.com/gift. It's a little PDF. It's just a one-pager. It's nothing complicated. It's not a whole 20 emails after that. You get one PDF, 6 secrets to doubling your sales now. It's something you can put in front of you, help you sell, help you have a better day. So definitely grab that if you haven't yet. Finally, if you have an event coming up, I would love to partner with you. You can learn more when you go to UrsulaMentjes.com, and that's UrsulaMentjes. I'm doing tons of virtual sales training right now all over the country. I'd love to do it all over the world. So if I can support your sales team, let me know. If you haven't been to virtual sales camp yet, I want to let you in on a little secret. Things are changing around here. Things are up-leveling. Sales camp is going to be shifting a little bit. But what we're offering right now is phenomenal. We still have a great price for anyone who listens to the podcast. Email us at contact@salescoachnow. Come and play at virtual sales camp. You can literally sit in your office. You can be in your pajamas and join us for the training so we can support you in doubling or tripling your sales right now. All right, with all of that said, I'm so excited to introduce you to Tena. A lot of you know Tena Pettis. If you haven't listened to our other interviews, definitely go back because you can see the trajectory that she's been on as she has grown businesses, sold businesses, moved on to new businesses, and done all kinds of things in between. What's really cool, she's also a mom, and she can often be found at the hockey rink. Yes, even in the summer. That's what happens up here in the Minnesota and Wisconsin and all these cool states. You can also find her at the cutest local coffee shop or cozied up in her home office on a Zoom meeting, right? And we're in her home right now. She's graciously let us in. It looks like a retreat, so beautiful. After 10 years running and owning multiple businesses, managing a couple dozen employees, Tena found herself ready to ditch it all and work from home alongside her hubby and 3 kiddos. Fast forward right now to the middle of 2020, and their family has decided to bring even more home so we can add teacher to the pile of titles. I have that teacher now too, or that title now too, and it's been quite interesting. Second grade math is sometimes hard for me. Tena is a truth seeker, essential oil dealer, and lover of deep quality conversations. And I adore her. I love her. I'm so glad she's in my world. She was one of the first people who helped me make the transition from California to Minnesota so graciously. And I look at so many connections I have, Tena, and they're because of you. And I know you love connecting people and make things happen. So from my heart, thank you for being you. And I want you to catch us up. So share with our listeners, what's been going on for you over the last 6 months? What has shifted? Tell us, about doTERRA, your success there, what's been going on?
What's crazy is how fast this year has gone, right? Does anyone feel that way? Although we've been stuck or safe or whatever you want to view it, we've been in this turmoil for a bit, right? And you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, this went quickly. We're here now in the middle of summer as we're recording this, and I think back 6 months, it's like, wow, the plans I had or the things I had, a lot of them are still coming true. We've set forth, still doing a lot of those things. But of course, travel plans. I haven't seen an airplane for a really long time, and it's such a first world problem, but yeah. So, I mean, so many changes. I had to bring my entire business online. We are an event-based business. doTERRA Essential Oils is based on having oil classes really in person. We want people to experience oils. We want them to smell them and have an experience right there in the class, which can happen. And without in-person classes, what do? So we had to pivot real quick. But I will tell you, I had a moment, like a strong moment. Like, I'm getting emotional even thinking about it, because when we all of a sudden had to go in this, like, you're safe at home. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be safe at home, and either are my children. This is like, I am such an extrovert. I thrive on relationships and, connection, and thinking about my life being on Zoom. It was just, I had to have a few days of just grief for what I thought my life was going to look like for those next couple of months. The day that, a day before, it was that weekend, all of this was happening with COVID. I was supposed to be on an airplane to Arizona to be with my leaders, my top leaders in my team in Arizona. We all rented a house. And literally the day before, they decided to cancel our conference. And I just think of all the things that, could have happened if we would have had thousands of people getting together and all of that. So I'm glad doTERRA made that decision, but it was so heartbreaking. Anyways, I needed to take a moment, like really take a moment. And I think some people are still taking that moment, and that's okay. But I knew I had to pivot quickly. Our income is based on doTERRA. Like, I am our primary income. My husband works part-time. We have a gym in our house. Actually, people are training right now. And so that's what he does. And so I needed to pivot. I knew I did, or else we wouldn't live in this house. So we pivoted really, really quickly, and we went online. And we now are thriving like crazy because of it, and because we quickly picked up. Like, now when I hear people, even people in my own organization or people outside, my organization still within doTERRA, when they're like, tell me about these online classes. And I was like, dude, we've been doing these for months. Like, get on the train. Like, let's go. This is amazing. So anyways, that's a little snapshot into the world here at our house.
Well, I think so many can relate to that world. And certainly I think I took a week of self-pity, and like, I just was grieving and angry, and like, how are we going to turn this all around? Because we depend on live events as well. And I had all these sales camps coming up. People had flights booked, and from here and then in California, and people were like, you can't cancel. And I just said, like, we don't have a choice, because I think at that point Governor Walz had shut everything down in Minnesota anyway, so my hotel wasn't going to hold the event. And so there was a week and there was a moment, and I think as entrepreneurs, we don't have a choice, right? Like, we hit that wall and you're like, there's not going back. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to change everything now. And so then I sat down with my team, and we went through and we redid all of our curriculum and changed the time frame and tried to figure out how long people could be on Zoom effectively.
Oh yeah.
Because I learned this, that our attention span on Zoom is 7 minutes, unless you're doing other things, unless you're interacting, unless you're so we created this super interactive experience, because our belief was like, we can't create the magic that happens when we're elbow to elbow. And we found out that we were wrong. Super wrong, so wrong that now in my company, we're looking at a hybrid model going forward, because the virtual model has been so amazing and so nice for people not to have to get on planes, and just so much has happened. So I'm glad you shared that. And so Tena, today we're talking about really how to sell anything. And before we dive in anymore, I want you to give a little bit more background about all the things that you've successfully sold, the companies you've grown, the experiences you've had. Just give a little more to your background so people understand that you get it. And then what brought you into the world of doTERRA, where you're now a leader and crushing it there, as you would say as well?
Yeah, well, I don't even know if you know this story, which will be surprising to you since you know so much about my history.
Oh, I'm excited.
But the very first thing I ever sold was gumballs on the bus.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And I saw a need. I know this sounds like, I was 10 years old, right? But So I saw a need because these were these sour gumballs, and my dad owned a restaurant, and so he had access to wholesale pricing at candy shops and all this kind of stuff. And we had a local distributor for wholesale candy. And so he bought me these massive, like, little bins of these candies. So I got to sell it on the bus. And I remember even having to kind of sell it on the DL because I knew I would get in trouble. So I started then, and it was like, you know, different colors. And so people could pick their colors, and I'd have them pay more if they could do colors, and they'd get a better price if they wanted to, you know, buy more. I think it was $5 for $1, or it was 25 cents a piece. And so, like, I just started doing things like that right out of the get-go. And I have always loved to sell. And I didn't actually realize it because of all these kind of negative words people throw at sales, right? You talk about them, and, you know, we can come up with them. Like, we can talk about a used car salesman, right? Or we can talk about whatever. There's so many different, like, gimmicky things that we can talk about that, you know, have a negative piece to sales. So I just shrunk down in that, thinking, well, I don't like sales. I don't like numbers. And so I like what I do. And so therefore my passion will lead it, but that's it. Like, that's seriously where I was stuck. And then, you know, I'm such an advocate for people going through sales camp and coaching with you. And it changed my world to just shift my mindset actually to what it actually is, that I love sales, and because I love getting the right things in people's hands. So, you know, selling anything, I want to be passionate about what I'm selling, right? I mean, that I think is the most important part of what we're selling. I'm now in network marketing. So I do know that there is a stigma around network marketing and people selling crap just to make money. There just is. It's a stigma, and it's a reality in some ways that there is some junk on the market that people are selling so they can make money. It's a reality, right? It's not a reality in doTERRA. I love our product. It's a really, really quality product. So it's easy for me to sell. So if we kind of go back, I started in marketing design, really. I mean, I didn't turn in a tax report when I was, 10 years old, so called the IRS. I didn't probably make more than $600, so it's good. But, my real first sales job was when I owned my own company, marketing design, called Tenacious. It was what I prided myself on, absolutely loved, had other salespeople selling things, and we stumbled through things and we thrived through things. And then eventually I realized that it wasn't my passion anymore. And I was selling things I wasn't excited to sell. And I just wasn't excited with how things are moving forward. And one of those main reasons, actually, Ursula, you were a client of ours, was social media was changing so quickly that we needed our clients' face inside of social more. And it was hard because what we sold it to them as is, hey, it's hands off for you. And then all of a sudden stories came along and video came along, and we're like, oh crap, like how we've been selling this in the past, we got to pivot. And I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. And I didn't see the passion anymore. Anyways, doTERRA was growing, going really well. I had a couple other businesses in between there that weren't super successful, so we don't have to talk about those ones. But then oils came along, and honestly, I think I've shared this in past podcasts, but I didn't want to be the oil girl. I just didn't. The stigmas were too much. I didn't want to be in network marketing. I didn't want to sell a health and wellness thing. And I didn't want to be the weird oil person. Like I had all of those stories. And then once I realized how much things were helping people, I was like, ooh, I could maybe get behind this. I still wanted my Tenacious cover, and then I could do oils behind it. Then I just realized this is really, I'm so passionate about it. I'm so excited. I'm on the verge of being the weird person at parties where I'm like, oh, try this. Can I roll it on you? So I'm the weird oil girl now, and I honor it and I love it. But that's where I'm at. So I can babble on that all over.
Oh, so many things to unpack there. And by the way, here's my favorite doTERRA oil is beautiful. And I bathe in it. Literally, it's like whenever I'm doing any kind of recording or anything, it uplifts me. And of course, I remember when I first met you, I was probably more of the weird oil girl than you were, right? I always had all my oils all over, and you're like, oh, okay, you're spiritual.
Yes.
So I look back at that and I laugh. And I just think how our paths have continued to cross, and just how we've been able to support each other. We've been each other's clients. We've just been on this journey. I think at the end of the day, what we both I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like we both learned that this is a journey. It's like, this is not, like, there's no end game. When you're an entrepreneur, the list never gets done. The dreaming never stops. The inspiration never ends. And you just hope that you can ride the top of that wave. Even when you fall off, you get back on that wave and you just want to ride through it. Even during things like a pandemic. Like, I don't know about you, but after I had my pity party for a week, I realized I was made for this. I'm like, I've been preparing for this for years. I know how to change beliefs. I know how to say this could be the best time ever to be in business. I know how to help my clients shift their beliefs and get out of there. And many of our clients are having their best years in business right now, best months in business during the pandemic. I know you shared yours. So talk about that. Like, talk about once the pandemic hit, you started to lead your team again. You were reaching out to them, supporting them. And it sounds like you've had a phenomenal couple of months, maybe even best.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. We had our best month ever in April.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is wow. Congratulations and yay.
Yep. Yeah. It was insane. And it's different because when I had my best months ever in Tenacious, I paid more to have that best month ever. So it wasn't that I ever lied about where our, how much money we were making, or I wasn't exaggerating the truth, but if I got a new client, I had to pay someone to help that person.
Right.
So with doTERRA, I don't have to. There's no extra expense with making more money. There just isn't. It's truly more of a passive income. I'm not passively doing this business at all. Right. But an increase doesn't mean I have to work more or hire people or do any of that, which is just a totally different world for me. But I was absolutely made for what I'm doing right now. Like the communication, being able to communicate, being able to connect. I did take, like you said, about that week, a little plus. I really, date nights were something that I grieved. I'm like, quality time is my love language. I mean, I grieved that one probably a little too long because we do a weekly date night. It's so important for our marriage. We went through a really, really hard time in our marriage. Even in our hard time, we still tried to do date nights. And so I know that date night, an expensive date night, is even cheaper than a divorce. And so I just keep that on every time we're, at a nice restaurant. Anyways, I grieved it. But yeah, it was about a week and a half to 2 weeks that I was like, okay, what now? Then we pivot, right? And I knew that my leaders might take a little bit longer. And really, honestly, it's not that I'm better than them or anything like that. It wasn't that. It was that I make more money, to be honest, than most of my leaders. And they could make more money than me. It's not set up that way that they can't, but it wouldn't be as much of a driver, if that makes sense. So I knew that there was going to be a little bit more, like it would take a little bit more time. I had to have a little bit more patience, but I also needed to just like pour belief into them, and not so much just like strategy and let's do this and go, but just like pour this belief in them that people are stuck home. What else are they going to do? They're looking for things to do. People are like making up stuff. Like people are watching everyone do everything, And we went in this like surge of time that people would jump on a Zoom for anything. And so that's what we did. We just poured our time into those classes, and they started to see me show up. And they've even said this, you showed up in such a bold, big way that we just couldn't not. Like we saw what was happening. And so I had to lead in that moment. And I had to also lean on them too when I came across things that still sucked. I mean, we still come across stuff. Like all of a sudden we realized, oh my gosh, we're sending out all these samples to people. Our shipping costs are like wild. I need to make sure though, guess what? When you're actually shipping and spending money on that sample, instead of just inviting someone to a class, you're going to follow up a lot longer and stronger because you spent money on that lead, right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, I could get into all of that a whole bunch, but that part, that pivot, that like I need to pour belief into my own leaders was a big part of that like next step right as everything came out.
I think you said something that I just want to highlight, that your team said you showed up so powerfully. And as leaders right now, because everyone who's listening, we're leading, if you're visible, you're leading. And more than ever, we need everyone to show up powerfully and to lead in their industry and to keep moving forward. Because without small business in our country, there is no country. Like I'm so passionate about helping small businesses keep going. And my heart hurts for those businesses that have had mandatory shutdowns, because I can't even imagine, our salon sisters and our, those who have businesses that, in California right now, as we're recording, just shut down salons again. And I was like, so heart goes out to them. And, I just want to encourage everyone, though, to not give up, to keep going right now, and to remember that like there's still so much potential, so much possibility right now, which leads us to ask about your sales strategy. So I'm hearing virtual classes, I'm hearing shipping costs went up, but we were sending out samples. Like, when you look at having your best month in April, what would you say your top 2 sales strategies were to make that happen?
A consistent calendar. Like, I've been hearing all these jokes about people saying that, oh, why did I waste my money on a planner for 2020, right? Like, because we didn't plan anything. Not my reality. My planner, actually, we had to switch spots where I was in the house, because my office was like, I needed to come up here because my Zoom wasn't effective down there. And I made sure I had my coffee, right? My pen, my laptop, and I also trudged up the stairs with my planner, because I can't go anywhere without it. Do I put stuff on my digital? Yes, I do. I put it on my phone, but having this here in front of me, it's like a little safety piece for me. I need it. So one of the biggest things, actually, in February, I had just so blessed to be able to go to Prague. And I went to Prague because there's a top leader in our company in doTERRA that puts on retreats, and I applied, I got accepted, I got to go, 80 of us got to go. Really had to buy our plane ticket, get there, and everything else was covered, which is just amazing. They are blessed, they want to bless others. And so I get there, and the biggest piece of it to prepare for it was that we had to be set with a schedule. We had to be focused on this success schedule. And so there are a few different parts to this success schedule that we had to have in our calendar every single week. And we actually had to prove it to this person, basically my coach, and tell her what I was doing with my time. Because this stupid thing can waste our time. We talk about it all the time, but we still do it.
Right.
We can get sucked into so much stuff, and even more right now. Oh my gosh, especially if you're passionate about things either way aside of this, man, you can get sucked in, and it takes your energy and everything. So if I don't have a calendar, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just honest. Like, I'm going to find myself scrolling that phone, or just wanting to put my brain where it doesn't have to think too much or do much work. Right. So in our success schedule, I do key leader calls with every single one of my leaders every single week. They get 30 minutes if they're part-time, and full-time, they're 60 minutes. And we dive in and we go over 3 things they're going to accomplish that week, and then 3 things that they already accomplished, and we go over that and try to plunk it in their calendar and make sense of it and strategize, and then talk about what's going on in the week. So if I'm able to do that with my key leaders, then they can do that with theirs. And then we do have a team call. So we have a 30-minute team call every single week. Anyone can jump onto it, new, old, alum, doesn't matter rank or anything like that. And that's another 30 minutes. Those things stay on my calendar, no matter what. If someone has to change, it's only because they're on vacation and they don't want to do a 30-minute call or a 60-minute call. Otherwise, we don't schedule anything over those times. Then we have a weekly class every single week. We're inviting people to that, and we do continuing education every single week. So once people are a member of our community, they can go into an 8-part series, continuing education. And so just those things, if you are brand new, if Ursula, you were like, I really want to start a business with you, those things take about 5 hours of your week. So I always tell my leaders, if you can say you'll do 10, I can eke 15 out of you. And that's about that sweet spot of time frame that a new leader I'd want for them to spend time with, right? In this. And then that extra time is contacting and following up. And then we do a wellness consult with people when they first enroll. So we want to make sure they understand what they purchased, and they understand what else there is to purchase with doTERRA and what they could swap out. And if all of those things happen with a new person when they come on, they enroll, they get oils, they do a wellness consult, they go into our continuing education. We also have an oil camp. And so they go through all of those things, which I did not name, by the way, but So if they go through all of those things, they're going to be a loyal customer. And so with that, contacting and following up. So first of all, my first thing is success schedule. I have to have it. It's got to be in there all the time. Because it's like Dave Ramsey, he's the guru on money. And if you don't budget it, it goes away. And that's the same thing with our time. And I'm sure someone else has been coined saying that statement, but we're going to waste our minutes if we haven't budgeted our time. So I also then made a personal success schedule. I knew that was so important because all of a sudden the business stuff was all prioritized, and then the kids and the hubby and especially during COVID, because I could sit in front of this computer all day, right? So I had to then put those things in there. Like, we have a gym in our house, I need to actually go to it. Like, I have no excuse. Being around the kids, I had to put those in my schedule. As bad as that sounds, it's actually really great because it happens. So my kids got used to, my son comes down and we are writing a book, a little kids like comic book or whatever. And or whatever, he's just obsessed with it. And so he's like, Mom, can I get 30 minutes on your calendar on Saturday at 3:00 so we can do the comic? Yes, bud, we totally can do that. And if he didn't do that, not that I wouldn't make time for him, but we wouldn't be intentional about it. So anyway, so that. And then the second part that has been huge for my structure and sales is that it's doing 2 contacts, brand new contacts every single day, 7 days a week. And then 2 follow-ups. And sometimes I get excited and I do more, and it's actually better if I have like an hour or 2 hours to do that versus just 4 reach outs, because that can take like 10 minutes. We know this in sales camp. I don't know if you're still doing that, but like having this, 30 minutes hour to be able to do sales calls and actually get them scheduled. It's wild how quickly you forget how easy it is, and how little of time you can fill your calendar with. So we do a lot of like text blitz with our team as well. So we'll schedule a 30-minute time frame to see how much can we, do, finding hosts and people to come to classes and be sampled and all that kind of stuff. So those 2 things, success schedule and a daily follow-up. If I start to get behind, I don't just like cram then all of them in there. Mark LeBlanc, another coach in the area, often says like one a day, just like your vitamins. If you, miss a few days, you're not going to like take all your vitamins, 3 or 4 days of vitamins in one day. You're just going to start on one a day again. And that's the same thing that I do, or else you get like caught up in guilt. So those are the 2 pieces for me that have been absolutely changed my world in the last few months.
Yeah, so I highly recommend anyone who just listened to this, probably this is something you're going to want to listen to again. Like, Tina, you just nailed that. If you want to be really super successful in direct sales, right, here's a formula to follow, or any kind of sales. So I love the intentional schedule. Clearly, like that schedule, if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. It can't tie to the goals that you want to reach. And then the 2 a day and the 2 a day, really powerful and easy. And I think if it's not simple and easy, we're not going to do it. But I'm the same. Like, I think you and I talked about that. People used to laugh at me. I don't think you did, but I still have my paper calendar. We have a Google Calendar as well, which my team keeps, and then I have that. And without being able to see it, like that's what drives everything in the company, like at a high level with my vision. So very powerful. I want to make sure we keep time, save some time for you to talk about you're an expert in so many things. We know this. Today you agreed to talk a little bit about your expertise in the area of just managing and maximizing your day, which ties to health, it ties to sleep, it ties to all kinds of things. So let's start there. And then I know you have a cool offer for us at the end, which I think some people will want to take advantage of.
Yeah. So a little backstory on my hubby. He's always been into health and wellness, always, since I met him. And I usually come behind him about 10 steps behind him. So my friends would joke that they're like, oh, Preston's into this and Tina's anti it, until I'm not anymore, because he just infiltrates the brain, right? And so, from being gluten-free to all the crazy things that we do in our house, I won't even tell you all of them, because you'll be like, you guys, do you wear tinfoil hats too? Like, it's just, we do so many different things, from we have our Wi-Fi on a timer at night, it's not on at night. Like, we just different things. That might not be so crazy to some people, but some people are like, wait, what? Why? So anyways, we've been on this health journey for a while. Again, I've been a few steps behind. But when I jumped into oils and full in, he hadn't quite, jumped into the products we were using. on our skin, more what we were putting in our body, not on our body. And so when doTERRA came in, it's like both of them like married each other really, really well. And his biggest thing was, us being in movement, nourishing our body. And he connected it to brain for me, because I needed that. I needed to understand that if I was going to take an hour out of my day to work out, or 30 minutes or whatever, and I was going to put all this focus on cooking all the time, and him cooking and us having these really great meals, I needed it to relate to business. And I know that might sound so super horrible, but like, I just couldn't do it just for me. I was like, it's gotta like also nurture my business, like something. So when he connected it to brain and our brain function and how important sleep and our level of stress is, truly affecting our day, and how much work we can actually get done in a short amount of time or a long amount of time or whatever, a light bulb truly went off. And it was like, oh, okay, all of this relates together. Now, again, you guys might be like, she really is blonde, but no, well, I'm not. I just got my hair colored. It's so fun to actually get your hair colored again. Anyways, so it was one of those things, like I didn't get my hair colored forever. And I was like, right when COVID, of course, I'm like, I need it. But so when being able to connect it, brain and stress and sleep, I love being able to focus with entrepreneurs on helping them sleep better and reduce their stress. Like, it has been my really mission within doTERRA, because for me, I had so much stress. I was running 4 companies at a time, and my marriage was almost completely over. We weren't wearing rings. We were sleeping on separate floors. We had told our kids that we weren't going to be, being together anymore on the weekends. My kids remember it, but they laugh because they can't even imagine that now. And those were just a few years ago. We're looking at like 3 or 4 years ago. Crazy how time flies when you feels like yesterday, but like a million years ago. Anyways, I was under so much stress. I was actually having anxiety, panic attacks. I definitely could have gone on some medications. No shame in that. I just didn't want to. And so when I started to find that oils were helping me with that, and then I would tell other women, and I would see them get emotional because they were in the same journey, I was like, oh, I can actually help you with a product. Like, I have a product for you, and I can help you with some lifestyle shifts that's going to really, truly help you beyond you just buying a product. And so now sleep and, brain function, stress, all of those have been such a big part of education that I do on Instagram, that I do within our communities. And Preston and I, my husband and I, do a lot of it together, which is really fun. We just like to joke around, and he's different than me. I could jump on and talk about anything right now, and he needs like 3 hours of research. So we had to like come in together in the middle on that a little bit. But yeah, so we're going to maximize our days by making sure we're getting the right sleep, truly the right sleep. The idea that, oh, entrepreneurs, we don't need sleep. We're night owls and we need 6 hours of sleep. It's like, that's such garbage. We need good quality, beautiful sleep. And there's no catching up on it later. Like you messed it up. So yeah. You need to, yeah. So anyway, so that's been my love of.
Yeah. Well, so a couple things. I know when I heard, so Preston, when he spoke at one of your events, I think a couple years ago, and I think then you tagged onto it too, but you talked about phones. I have this little cool device on my phone, but I know it doesn't protect me from everything. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do with phones at night. And then you said like you turn the Wi-Fi's on a timer. Would you be willing to share some of those tips that you have? Because I feel like right now, people, like you said, we're on our phones more than ever, and people are just glued, and like, because there's not as much to do, so to speak. So anyway, tell us like any tips you have with phones and nighttime and
yeah. So right off the bat, like electronics and lights in our house are very different once the sun goes down. In the summer, we kind of ebb into later, right? But in the middle of winter, in the Midwest especially, we're like 4:30 and it's dark out. Well, what happens is you look around at all these houses and they're like, bright, right? And so what it's telling our brain is, it's the middle of the day, don't go to sleep. And so people then are having all of these sleep issues and not actually hitting the right cycles, and then waking up groggy and tired, caffeinating and having these slumps, and our brain is everywhere. We have a million tabs open on our computer and in our brain, and it's because we're not getting restorative sleep. And so we actually have a few different places in our house where we have changed the light bulbs to a red light. So in each bathroom, you usually bathrooms have like the overhead light, and then they have a like heat lamp light. And so we changed all of those out to a heat lamp light that's red. And so when you walk into either one of our bathrooms, you walk into a red room, and it just helps your eyes. I mean, you feel relaxed. Like now, if I'm in a bright, like, or I'm at someone else's house or whatever, I'm like, this is wild. Like, I feel like I have to like cover my eyes at night. We also do wear glasses. Like if we are going to be on electronics, my kids have gotten into movie night. They went through all the Marvel movies during COVID. So of course that's at night. And so we all have our little, like Swanwick brand. It's just Swan and then Wick. Like it's super easy. Swanwick brand glasses that we wear. Again, kind of dorky, a little tinfoil hat thing, but when we watch TV, if it's at night. And then with our phone, we actually turn it on airplane mode unless a kid is somewhere else and they have yelled at us for not having our phone on. But so we turn our phone on airplane, and it doesn't generally come in our bedroom. So we have it charged downstairs or maybe in the master bath or something like that. But it's not going to vibrate through the night. It's not something that we look at night. Now, there are definitely occasions where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to figure this out, or I want to like read about this. I'm not perfect on it by any means, but I absolutely know the next day how I'm going to feel if I'm on my phone at night. It's so drastically different. And I can even track, sleep, how I feel throughout the day. There's so many different things. So we have our Wi-Fi. It's just on the timer. It's a $12 Amazon purchase. You literally can set it to turn on and off. We turn it off at 10:30. It goes back on at 6:30, and it's nothing we have to like unplug or plug in. So lighting is huge. What light we're letting into our eyes, and then the reason why we turn off our Wi-Fi is because of EMFs. So these, Wi-Fi is going all through us all the time. So if you live in a development, I would for sure plan on it. We live in the country, so like I don't even know that we can see another Wi-Fi signal from someone else when we turn it on. So really when we turn it off, we're just free of that. And you can just tell the energy in our house. It's just so much better. So those are some major things that we do.
That's great. Thanks for sharing those. And I was just reading an article that, during the pandemic, people are having more nightmares and just more problems sleeping because of all the stuff that we're hearing on the news or not hearing on the news, and just being out of our regular routines. Like it's causing a lot of things to go on. So share with us. I want to hear how our listeners can connect with you. And then I know you have some gifts that you wanted to talk about for a few of our listeners who might want to connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. The stress of being on your phone at night, man, you don't get to decide what enters your mind when you're scrolling social media. You don't know which friend is going to share something, or what's going to trigger, or like who is going to show up in your dreams because of what you were just looking at, like all of that. Like I want to have more control over that. So I for sure read, and usually not a business book because then I want to start, working at 10 o'clock. So a couple things. It's so funny. I know before we hit the record button, Ursula and we were talking about this, is that back in my marketing days, I'd be like, oh, I have this funnel and this download and go grab this or whatever. And that's just not my jam anymore. That's just not my world. And so my favorite place to hang out is Instagram. I love it. I share a lot over there. A lot. I do not hold back. If you're a fan of the Enneagram, I'm an 8. You may have already picked that up if you know Enneagram. And so I'm bold. I don't really care if people like me or they don't like me. So you decide pretty quickly whether you like me or not. Anyway, so I love when people follow me over there. And if you don't want to, you don't have to, right? So, and then my, I guess, gift, I would say, is that I love to be able to help people walk through the journey of sleep or stress, and to rid their life of it. And so I use products. I love, we have a couple different product line. We have a Serenity product line for sleep, and we have an Adaptive product line for stress and anxiety. And so a lot of times when people are like, well, I have issues with both, I'm like, yep. And so we'll just decide which one we're going to start with. And usually one solves the other. And so I love to be able to send out a little gift of either one of those to you. And so if you're interested and you're like, man, I'm so much stressed, I would try anything, or I'm really struggling with sleep, I want to start somewhere on the journey, just send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Tena Pettis everywhere on every social channel. So you like can't miss me. There's no other Tena Pettis in the world, which is pretty awesome. Spelled the same way as me. I don't even know if there's a Tena Pettis spelled the wrong way either. So, but anyways, so you can find me anywhere at Tena Pettis. Just send me a message on Instagram and we can just have a conversation. And to me, it's not necessarily about me selling you something. Do I think that these products will sell themselves? Of course. Like if you try these and they work, you're going to want them. And that's part of this, right? But we want to help you with a solution. Like, just like Ursula, you're doing the same thing. Like if you need more sales, Ursula's your girl. Like you're going to get more sales if you work with her. Like if you need sleep and you need, to reduce your stress, I can help you. So you're going to want those solutions. Anyways, would love to send you those out and have conversations about, whatever it is that you may be dealing with. I also, just total side note, my oldest daughter actually really struggles with ADHD. And so if that's something that one of your kiddos is struggling with, or you are struggling with, I have tons of resources. So those are a couple of my favorite things to chat about with people.
So I'm over here taking notes on other products that I probably need.
Good.
So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being so willing to always come back on the show and for sharing your stories with such vulnerability and honesty. And I know it's why people love connecting with you. So thank you, Tena, for coming back.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I will come back anytime you want. Like Ursula literally sent me a message like, we need to chat. And I was like, yep. And she goes, you want to be on the show? I'm like, yep. Like, what, do I need to move anything? What time? I will absolutely be here. So I love it.
Yeah, no, thank you. And we had a guest that couldn't make it at the last second, and you've been on my list. I'm like, I've got to get, and then, it's just when we're in a time of, I swear, instant manifestation, because literally you commented on one of my posts on Facebook, and I was like, okay, we are syncing right now. So like, I got to get you back on the show. And you're like, yeah, what do you need? And that's the thing I know about you. I can count on you to be like, yeah, here's my bio, here's my new pick, let's go. So, so thank you. That's awesome. And find Tena at Tena Pettis. She's everywhere. Like she said, she's the only Tena Pettis in the world. That you are. I'm so grateful for our friendship. And I know we are on this journey together. And for all of you who are listening, you're on this journey with us. And use this podcast. We want to keep you inspired. We want to keep you motivated. We care about you. That's why we bring great people like Tena to inspire you in your business. But it's also about taking care of your health. Like if we're not sleeping, if we're not de-stressing. So reach out at Tena Pettis, find her on Instagram, follow her. She's lots of fun, as you can tell. And get some products that can help you right now. She's saying, I'm going to send them to you. So like, just reach out to her and take care of yourself. And that's it for now, you guys. We'll see you on the next podcast episode. Bye, everybody.